Do we hold it?
Testing.
Check. Okay. Hello everyone. I'm Khyati, and I'm currently a senior from Berkeley. I'm studying chemical engineering. Thank you so much for attending our panel today. We really, really look forward to meeting all of you all today, and throughout the rest of the week, actually. To begin, we are the UC Berkeley delegation that is attending the COP for the very first time. We're really, really, really excited. And I wanted to acknowledge that we recognize that we come from a very privileged place. UC Berkeley is a great academic institution. And I just wanted to reiterate that we are here to learn, and we're going to be sharing our opinions with you on climate change today, and we want you to listen to us with an open mind. And also, everyone's opinions over here are going to be their own individual opinions, as we are very new in our learning process, and we hope you can give us that space to share what we think and listen to our thoughts. And yeah, I will now start off by introducing Tvetene.
My name is Tvetene Carlson. I'm an environmental engineering graduate student studying tidal renewable energy in rural Alaska, with particular emphasis on how renewable energy is impacting subsistence ways of life in Alaska. It's wonderful to be here. I'm looking forward to seeing how all indigenous peoples throughout the world are developing renewable energy in their own homelands and are handling the transition while preserving their ways of life that they've been practicing for thousands of years.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tatiana Bu. I am studying human geography with a minor in public policy at UC Berkeley. I'm currently a fourth year, and I'm very interested in outdoor access and outdoor equity within Black and Brown communities. I am also an outdoor equity advocate. I work alongside our California Governor, Governor Newsom, on the Youth Empowerment Board, which talks about the policies that are going to be indirectly and directly affecting youth in the state of California.
Good morning, everybody. Hi, my name is Murray Wong, and I am a senior at UC Berkeley studying political science and conservation and resource studies. I am so excited to be able to have the privilege and opportunity to fill this space and to be here. I am so excited because I personally have had the chance to learn about COP conferences not only in my academic studies, but in the extracurricular and internship opportunities I have had. Last semester, I worked for the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the United States, Nancy Pelosi, and this past summer, I worked as an intern in the Federal Liaisonship Office of the UN in Washington, D.C. And in that space, I have been able to learn so much about conferences such as the COP, where the UN works incredibly hard to find equity and justice. And it is an absolute privilege and dream of mine to be able to be in this space alongside my peers and all of you.
Hi everyone, my name is Peter. I'm a senior at the University of California, Berkeley, studying public health and molecular environmental biology. And so I'm really interested in the intersection of how health and climate really affect all of us and all these shared challenges such as the pandemic and climate. And so in my day job, I do a lot of long COVID research, and previously I worked on Pfizer's vaccine trials. But in addition to all of that, I engage in climate advocacy work and legislation in the lawmaking process in the state of California, and trying to kind of fight climate change at the local and state levels.
Hello everyone, I'm Jade Merrim. I'm a junior at UC Berkeley studying environmental science with a minor in African American studies. I'm so grateful and happy to be here at COP27 because I'm extremely passionate about environmental justice and outdoor education work for youth in communities of color.
Hi everyone, my name is Carmela Wilkins. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a Master of Design student at UC Berkeley as well, with a certification in food systems design. For me, my research is pretty niche at the intersection of the African diaspora, sensory resilience, and food apartheid.
Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing just a little about yourselves. I know y'all are doing a lot at Berkeley, at the community level, at the state level, at the international level, and I hope that people here throughout the COP can learn more about you and how you can be a major contributor to this issue of climate change. And I just want to tell y'all that over here, our delegation and the people who cannot be here, we all deeply care about climate change, and I hope you can get a glimpse of that today by our press conference. So my first question for y'all today is, what is the importance of including youth representation in policy-driven, often privileged spaces like the COP, and why?
I think I can take a first stab at that question, and it's so exciting to be here with all of you at the COP27 conference. We have a lot of great stakeholders here. We have governments, business, and a lot of NGOs present. But I think one really key stakeholder that aren't here are the young people, and I think that's in part because they're stuck in school, but they really are the stakeholder that really deserve to be in a space like COP, because out of all the different age groups, they will be the one to live the longest and to see, witness, and be affected by climate change the most. And so it becomes really important to include them in the process, because the world that we build now, the decisions that we make through spaces like COP27 will have ramifications for the decades to come. And I can say that young people would be more than happy to be part of the process, and they're able to adapt to the different structures of government and institutions to really make a dent on climate change. And I can draw from my own experience working on that in the state of California, where if anyone remembers, a couple years back, California, we had these huge wildfires where smoke covered the entire region, similar to Australia and other parts of the world. But that was a catalyst for me to get involved in the youth climate movement. And the next thing I know, I was organizing with hundreds and hundreds of high school and college students across the San Francisco Bay Area region. And a lot of us did not know how the legislative process works, but we quickly learned, and we were able to get organized and work together in partnership with our lawmakers at the local level to pass building electrification codes for at least 1 million people in the US and in the 10th largest city. And we were able to use that momentum at the local level to decarbonize our buildings and get clean energy, and work with the state delegation in the state legislature in order to get more clean energy development in the state of California. And so that's just one example of the great success and the great power and that young people bring to fighting climate change, and that they can really accelerate a lot of the policies that we really dream about but never felt like that was tangible. And so I think that's kind of my 2 cents on that.
Thank you so much, Peter. You really inspire a lot of people, and I hope that you continue to empower many more youth in the future. And my next question for the delegation is, why is the COP important to us?
I think I can take that, Khyati. I think this is a perfect question building off of Peter's last point, especially because it is incredible that we are here as a few students, but we were chosen out of hundreds of applicants just from UC Berkeley. And think of that, there are multiple UC campuses across California. On top of that, universities in California, universities all across the United States, and beyond that, universities around the world, filled with people that are passionate about climate change, passionate about building a better world. And that's what we see here. And so when you see students, if you look around, we are few and far between at this conference. And it is an immense privilege for us to be here, but it's also an immense opportunity for the other observers who are here to connect with us. At the end of the day, this is all of our futures together. And what we do coming here is flying across the entire world to show and make our voices heard, not as representations of the youth community, but as examples of people who care. And I think spaces like COP are incredible because it shows us the way that we take our education, the way that we take what we learned in our lived experiences from the time of our youth to the point where we go and now are in college and getting a university degree. So many of us are going to pursue professional careers in climate advocacy, in international law. And these are things that really matter. And I think spaces like COP need to become more accessible because the decisions and conversations that happen here affect everybody in the world. We are seeing environmentalism as a human rights issue, as something that will impact every generation subsequent to ours now. And this is an opportunity. I want to take this time to uplift the people here and ground us in realizing that the panel sitting in front of you is the future. We are examples of children that are here, that are passionate about change, and that it's something that we not only study, but experience in our lives. And so spaces like the COP, the more accessible they become, the more voices that are heard, amplified, and understood, the more robust and colorful and comprehensive our policy and decisions will be. When we start to make these decisions that impact everybody, we are trying to take subjective experiences into an objective truth. And from that, we hope to create something that allows us to understand each other and understand the world in a better manner, in a better fashion, that allows us all to come to decisions that will uplift communities well past the time where we are on this panel and panels after this.
Thank you so much, Mari. Thank you so much. I hope we continue to empower youth while we're here. My next question to the entire delegation is, how are marginalized communities impacted by environmental justice?
I would like to speak on that, Khyati.
Thank you.
Yes, so marginalized communities are very much at the forefront and sadly are at the center of every single environmentally challenged situation. Going back to your point about environmentalism being a human rights issue, I come from San Diego, California, where I live right off a highway where I am getting much air pollution every single day. My brother, who is asthmatic, has asthma attacks because of the pollution that's filling our air. There are communities in my neighborhood that are 96% going to have some type of asthma, birthing defects, cancer, just because of where they live or because of where they were just placed. And this goes to, why does my brother have to suffer through these toxic fumes that are going to be polluting into my community? Why do Black and brown communities always have to have these medical issues, have to be endured with the violence that comes with climate issues? And this is not just coming from my community. These are from communities from around the world that suffer through famine, through displacement, due to flooding, due to hurricanes, and just what we experienced a few months ago with the hurricane in Florida. Many communities were displaced. Many Black and brown communities were hit very hard through this the situation and what's going on in Mississippi with the water crisis. There are issues that Black and brown communities that are just living with day by day and thinking it's normal. It is not normal to be drinking toxic water. It is not normal to be intaking toxic fumes and worrying about if I ever do want to conceive a child, I have to consider if the air quality will be good for them, if they will get asthma, if they will be able to have accessible drinking water. And why is it that communities up the road from me, like 20 miles out, are able to get clean water, clean air, clean everything just in general? And so I feel that Black and brown communities are just in the center of all the issues going about of climate, and no one cares. It's just we're indispensable, which we're not. Like, this panel is full of people who are dedicated to this fight of accepting and trying to get more people to realize this is a issue. I cannot stand for a little Black girl, a little Black boy getting sick because of where they live. That should not be an issue. You should be able to live in this land, live in these communities without being exposed to these different illnesses and just being okay about it.
I also want to add on, we're here at COP27, we're discussing long-term goals and policies, but it's also just as important to think about in the present who has access to the environment right now. Historically, Black and brown communities have been excluded from outdoor spaces, whether it's the sport of swimming or the ability to swim, kayaking, hiking, journeying to the national parks in the United States. I think it's just as important to think about who doesn't have access when discussing environmental injustice.
And just to add to what the panelists just said, when it comes to environmental injustice within the Black and brown community, it truly is explicit violence. And I just want to repeat that it truly is explicit violence. The fact that you can wake up and just think that the default within your life of not having quality access to grocery stores, to parks, to good schools, redlining, the list goes on. It truly is an act of violence to the point that it has become almost a hidden default within Black and brown communities. You think that it's just expected to experience these type of ailments within your life, and that's something that I'm speaking about from my own personal experience growing up with EBT and SNAP. When I was in my early 20s, I thought that everyone in the US lived off of EBT and SNAP, and when I found out that wasn't the case, it truly was a shock for me that that was not the case. So it's just something to really think about in the context of lived experiences and the multitude of value that it takes to bring different types of people to the table. And not just like bringing people to the table, but creating the table. Like, what does the table look like? Is it actually a table? Like, what is the material that we are using in order to create really well thought out, meaningful, intentional conversation around environmental inequities?
I want to follow up on Carmela's point there of kind of like food access and food systems, and inequality of access to that, and also connecting to your emphasis on home of place and on nature and access to nature and kind of like Black and brown access to nature. Because I was born and raised an Athabascan man from Cantwell, Alaska. I was raised by a family of moose and caribou hunters. And so for us, our food system, our grocery store is the land, it's the woods, it's the forest, it's the trees, it's the river. And this is true for many indigenous peoples from across the world, is that what a lot of folks are seeing in the pretty photos is these kind of gardens, is the nature. That's our home, that is our food supply, that is what takes care of us, and we thus want to take care of it in return. And so for the folks here at COP, I want to remind about during the policy making, during the discussions and the observations and the science being discussed around these spaces, is that these are more than just pretty gardens that we want to protect just because they're gorgeous. They are our homes. They are our connection to the land, to the spaces and the people and the animals and the trees that take care of us. And we should be included in the spaces, Black and brown folks, in the decisions that are being made in these spaces in our homes.
Yeah, I completely see that. And I think that one thing that we want to add is that while we are in this space right now, it is incredible, and it is an incredible 2 weeks to see so many like-minded people around us. But at the end of the day, we are going to go home. At the end of these 2 weeks, we will go home, and what we learn at this conference, each and every one of us is going to take that knowledge and disperse it back to our communities. And that's what we here as a delegation are here for. We want to learn and absorb the knowledge from experts from around the world and teach us to teach our communities. This conference is dispersing not only through policy, but through interpersonal experiences, how you get to interact with the people around you. So I highly encourage people who, if you see us as a panel after this, if you see youth walking down the blue zone, talk to them, hear their opinions, hear about what they want to take home, and have your opinion met with them. Converse, discuss, learn from them. They are not just here to learn from you, we are all here to learn from each other, whether you are the head of a state or an observer student like us. We are here to learn from each other, and we are here to take that information and bring it back to our communities. Because COP is 2 weeks every year, but environmentalism is 24/7. So I encourage everybody here to remember that. I encourage everybody here to ground themselves in the fact that we have this incredible opportunity to reflect back on what we want to do when we get home.
Mari, thank you so much, Mari. I just wanted to reiterate what you said. Please come and talk to us. Don't just take pictures with people who are like, oh, I have not seen that group of people before, but they also speak. They also have opinions. So do speak to them. They would love to learn from you and you from them. And lastly, I have one question to our delegation in one line. Please tell us, what do you envision our community or our world to be, say, around 2040, 20 years from now? Tvetene, do you want to start us?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question. I guess by 2040, if I had to give one line, it would be tribal sovereignty, which is very kind of like U.S. specific term for indigenous, equal indigenous decision making of our homelands.
I hope by 2040 that we'll be able to give inequities to communities that are very vulnerable, whether it be domestic, regional, domestic, or international. We need to help our brother and sister and our global people help us gain the resources to be able to help us succeed, help young people succeed. Let us live to 2040 and not be scared of if many of the crises that are going on. Let us get to 2040 and solve some of these issues. I would love that to happen.
I don't know how to follow that, but I would say that in 2040, I would love to come back to a COP and sit in these seats and see university students speaking. I would love to be able to be on the opposite side of this and see that progress is not something that is achieved in a day, and it is not something that will ever be achieved. It is constant. It is continuous. And I want in 20 years to us to have the same opinions of wanting to make a better world. And that is not just going to start today or tomorrow. It started a long time ago, and it will continue to progress. And so in 2040, I hope that this room will be full of students like me who had this opportunity at one point, were able to impact further people, and we are able to share that now and experience it as our own when we make it to 2040.
Well, 2040 is going to be another 2 decades of my life, so I've only lived half of that. But I think as I reflect on that, the one word that I hope that we get to say in 2040 is victory, and that we won, and that we won the fight against climate change, and we were able to make substantial progress since this COP to really not just move the needle, but to significantly sway the trajectory of climate change. I know that back at home in California, there's a lot of amazing young people who are just engaged in that work, including the ones in my organization called Silicon Valley Youth Climate Action, and you could Google them to look more about our work. But we've, for the last 2 years, have done nothing but successfully work with our legislators in the state of California to pass environmental measures that range from wildfire prevention to clean energy development to waste management. And when I say the state of California, I think, just to contextualize, it's the largest state in the United States, 40 million people, and if it were its own country as of last week, it would be the fourth largest economy in the world. And so I am very hopeful that the momentum I get to witness in California will be something that we can continue to see at COP27 and in other societies and nations, so that when we get to 2040, we can say, victory, we have won. So, yeah.
In 2040, I want to see Black and Brown communities receiving the opportunities and resources they deserve to develop and further strengthen their intimate relationship with the environment.
For 2040, I want to see cross-continental resilience amongst us of the African diaspora when it comes to being able to actualize not only climate resiliency, but decolonizing climate change as a whole for the select few.
Thank you so much. I cannot believe we've actually gone through this whole press conference, and y'all did amazing. If no one is telling you that, I'm telling you that y'all did amazing. And thank you so much, everyone, for attending our panel. And thank you, delegates, for truly sharing from your heart. I felt the passion, and I hope everyone here felt that we really care. And I just wanted to say that, like Peter said, that victory by 2040, let's be ambitious about our goals. Let's be selfless in our actions. Let's not draw borders when it comes to climate change. We're all in this together. Let's not do paperwork and be like, hey, we're carbon neutral. No, we all live under one sky, and the impacts are going to come to you. So let's work on this together. And I'd just like to say that, again, thank you so much, delegates. We hope that the COP continues to empower more youth, and we're integrated into the decision-making process. And we look forward to meeting more like-minded individuals, and we hope that we're part of the ambitious goals that are set at the COP. And let the learning begin. Thank you so much. If anyone, I know we are 1 minute or 2 minutes, if anyone has any questions for us at all, please let us know. We would love to hear your thoughts and share ours.
And thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Thank you.